Tonight, a look at the impact of social media on elections.
You have to go social networking, otherwise you're just not going to reach people you need to reach.
And in South Africa, political parties will have to jazz up their campaigns to reach a young target audience.
I'd like to see more jobs for the youth because right now I'm still in varsity and I'm about to finish, but I'm already worried about will I get a job when I graduate.
Well, a very good evening to you. Welcome. My name is Leanne Manis. We are going to the polls in exactly 1 week from today.
Yep. And I'm Tabi Sositola, and good evening to you at home. Yes, it's an election that some analysts say is going to be, and we quote, a watershed election to reflect South Africa's shifting political sands. Now to our viewers, yet again, thank you very much for your SMSs. Do keep them coming. And remember, the number is 33726. But remember to begin your message with the word elect, followed by the rest of your comment, and the SMS will cost you R1.50 each.
We've got such a fantastic show coming your way, and this time talking about social media and how it's actually affecting these elections. And believe me, they're having a very big effect. Well, that's coming up in a short while. Right now, however, let's take a look at the latest election news, and it's been compiled by Richard Ingram.
As the run-up to next week's local government election enters the final straight, the Independent Electoral Commission today officially opened its National Results Operations Centre, or ROC, in Pretoria. Votes cast at the almost 21,000 voting stations will find their way here, where they will be processed and the final results announced.
The democratization process is slowly taking root throughout this continent. For us in South Africa, each election we hold constantly reminds us of our original commitment to the ideas and cardinal principles of democracy, human rights, freedom of expression, of association, human dignity, and the right to vote in a democratic election.
The SABC has also pulled out all the stops for the election and will broadcast live from the ROC.
The SABC has a constitutional mandate and obligation to provide a fair, balanced and impartial coverage of the elections and the results of that election.
In Cape Town, the Freedom Front Plus party leader, Peter Mulder, said coalition forming among opposition parties was the only way to defeat the ANC at the polls. Speaking at Parliament, Dr. Miller said opposition parties needed to be realistic and accept that, to dethrone the ANC, they had to pull together to forge strong coalitions.
The research show at this moment that we're not strong enough that one political party will be able to do it on their own. But I think for the first time it's possible that coalition parties will be possible to do that.
In Cape Town, the AZAPO president, Jake Dikobo, was campaigning in Gugulethu and called on voters to hold their councillors accountable on service delivery. Mr. Dikobo said AZAPO had adopted the election slogan, "Take back your power," and wanted mayors to be elected by the voters.
By and large, communities have been spectators in their own game, and they have outsourced their power to politicians and councillors. So we are saying, be in charge. Remember, councillors are your servants.
At Delportshoop near Kimberley, about 60 DA members today defected to the Congress of the People, or COPE. They say the DA failed to meet their needs, and requests for meetings with leadership fell on deaf ears.
There is no way that we can see ourselves working with a DA. We have decided that the COPE is the way forward, and we are following it as from now on.
And at Mafeking in Northwest, the National Police Commissioner, Becky Cele, said he was satisfied with preparations for next week's local government election in the province. After a personal visit to inspect the state of preparedness in Northwest, General Cele said he was confident that the police would safeguard all aspects of the election in an impartial and efficient manner.
And send. Well, from Facebook to Twitter, as you see, to YouTube, new media has become the way to make your point, and very instantly. And election candidates all over the globe have wisened up to this potential, as you saw with Barack Obama using the States. But how far have we come in South Africa? This report from Meryl Volker and Marissa Simoes.
So I put down my carry sign. Knew I had to make you mine. Smile black and sexy, oh so fine. 'Cause I gotta cry.
The internet song that revolutionized American politics
Posted on every social site with more than 40,000 users, it turned the junior senator from Illinois into a mass media sensation and helped to make him the first black American president. His new media team, under Facebook co-founder Chris Hughes, managed to arrange 250,000 events and raise a whopping $500 million on the internet. What John F. Kennedy had done with television in the 60s, Obama did with new media. But to be fair, he also stole a leaf from a certain Russian president's campaign a few years earlier.
New media also featured prominently in this year's Jasmine Revolution in Tunisia, Egypt, Bahrain and Libya. So this dynamic medium's been instrumental in both crowning and toppling rulers in recent years. It's also shifted the power of influence to a younger generation. In South Africa, political parties faced an electorate of which more than 1 in 4 are under the age of 30.
If the youth are bombarded with official communication from the parties, it's not going to work. But if there's an engagement like, two young people will engage, and if that engagement also comes from the younger people in the parties, I think it can be hugely effective.
For many young people, it's a no-brainer.
We don't actually go out there and read the newspapers.
Every young person has Facebook and whatever, so.
To boost engagement, I think they get out to the public much better.
And then we can actually want to vote for a party and take a stand.
Cell phone surfing has grown by about 15% per year since 2009 to about 6 million users. It's expected to increase to 13 million by 2014. Most bloggers range between 25 and 44 years of age. The youngest South Africans, right down to primary school level, feverishly mix it. The site's user base is approaching 20 million. Surprisingly, Twitter only has 55,000 local users at the moment.
3 million South Africans already have Facebook profiles, and YouTube is now the 4th most popular website in the country. So where's a political party to go to grab the youth vote?
You have to go social networking, otherwise you're just not going to reach people you need to reach.
Some parties are getting with the program, others still may have a long way to go.
And the COPE website, you wouldn't say that they've been having quite a lot of problems over the past year or so. It is just a rosy picture from when they start, what they do, nothing about the factions in the parties. Some of the other parties, again, use their websites extensively, like the ANC, with probably the best set of information that any party can offer. On the other hand, they have a very, very basic presence on Facebook without really interacting, which is something where parties like the DA and Vryheidsfront are quite good with. They interact, they invite reactions, and there's a real discussion.
The country's internet footprint used to be relatively small and concentrated in key geographic and economic areas. But with cell phones, it's being thrown open wider all the time, while the age profile will only expand as years go by, and the new age of satellite cell phone technology will put it outside of the ambit of government control. We may not see anything like Obama's new media mania this local election,
but a political party who wants to keep up with the pack in future will soon have to change its communication tune.
Zuma, 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 zuma. Zuma, 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 zuma. Zuma, 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 zuma.
Well, there you have it, the youth speaking here. And in the meantime, municipal election chatter is burning up social media channels. The ANC is the most talked about political party among South African internet users in the run-up to next week's elections, with the DA in a respectable second place. This is one of the pieces of information that a strategic digital media consultancy, Acceleration Media, was able to uncover by monitoring and analyzing the conversations that South Africans are having about political parties ahead of the elections. We're now joined by the MD of Acceleration Media, Diane Charton. She's in our Cape Town studios. Charton, Diane, very good evening to you. Thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Thanks, Leanne. Good evening to you too.
Well, I mean, a month ago, we saw two countries' leaders overthrown by a protest that actually started through social media. This basically describes the power of social media on everyday lives as well as politics.
Yeah, I think we've certainly seen it. I think what started off as a lot of people thinking it was going to be a fad, that Facebook was going to die and people were going to stop using it, has seen a massive groundswell. I think it's an opportunity for people to really connect with each other. And I think it's what's for me so phenomenal is that it's an opportunity for people to actually listen. It's an opportunity for like-minded people to get together and actually have a voice. And I think that's what we're starting to see, and that's really, I think, what influenced that groundswell so dramatically is that it's not limited by borders, it's not limited by geographic location. It's all about connecting about ideas and thoughts. And I think for me that groundswell is just so dramatic in our arena, in our everyday lives.
I think what's absolutely incredible is that as we have this conversation, just about to go on air, I have a look at my Twitter account, and I know a lot of people that have Twitter accounts found out that President Jacob Zuma officially opened his own Twitter account yesterday, and it was verified by the presidency that it is the president's Twitter account. He just put out a tweet saying, a productive day, sharing ideas with communities and tackling community concerns in Greytown and Escort, working together, we are doing more. President now been on Twitter 2 days. He's almost got 10,000 followers on Twitter. This is powerful, and I'm glad the president has realized this. What is this going to do for his campaign?
You know, I think it's phenomenal. I think people want to be connected. They want to hear what he has to say. You know, they want to feel connected to the people that they feel are going to be leading them. And, we're seeing it, and I think it's great to see that, the people leading our major parties are coming on board and actually getting involved in this, because it's not only an opportunity for them to talk about what they've been doing, but also an opportunity for them to listen to what people are having to say. I think it's an opportunity to feel much more connected, and I think that's what social media really does.
Does it make a difference, though? And I go back to what's just happened right now. Just, again, a couple of minutes before we went on air, we saw the DA leader, Helen Zille, put out a tweet. This is what it said. About 20 soldiers in uniform were handing out ANC pamphlets on varsity campus in PE. This undermines democracy. SANDF must be non-aligned. What she has done is spurred a conversation between everybody who follows on Twitter that the word SANDF and undermine are now trending in South Africa. For those who don't know what Twitter trending language is, it means it's the most spoken about thing that's happening on Twitter as we sit here and have this show live right now. It does affect, it does have an influence. Do the leaders take this seriously? Do they learn from this? Can they actually make policies around what people are saying on Twitter?
Well, I certainly think there's an opportunity to. You can, in exactly what you're saying, I think what they're starting to do, which I think is very clever, is use spurring a conversation, getting a conversation going, and then letting public actually take it further. So what's happened in this instance is a number of followers, a number of Twitter users have actually created that groundswell and taken that conversation so much further than just, for example, Helen Zille talking about it.
Yeah.
I do think there's an opportunity to listen so dramatically, because it really is a true voice of people. They are really saying exactly what they feel.
Yeah. You found that in the survey that you did, let's talk about it a little bit, that the ANC and DA have both hosted regular Q&A sessions on Twitter where users quiz them about their policies. What was the feeling among the users after this?
The majority of the sentiment that we actually tracked, so we can actually see the sentiment of the posts that are taking place at the time, were neutral. So what we take out of that is that people were using it as an opportunity to actually get information. They were asking a lot of questions. They were talking about things that were relevant to them. So it wasn't just using it as a place to vent necessarily, but to actually really start to unpack things like policies and things that really make a difference to them them in their lives. I think that it's been exceptionally well received. I think it's a very brave thing to do. You know, everybody knows you put yourself out there and you do open yourself up for people saying negative things about you. But I think it's been very, very well received because people want it.
Yeah, they do want it. Listen, I just put a tweet out there before we came to this interview, and I put the president on, our President Jacob Zuma and DA leader Helen Zille, because they both got Twitter accounts. We know this, and I told them to listen. Do you think they'd have time to actually read these things? Is it them tweeting?
You know, I think that there's an incredible amount of activity going on a continual basis, as we've seen. I think that they'll certainly be involved in listening to the conversations, but I'm sure that they would have to be needing some sort of tool to actually be tracking everything, because there's an incredible amount of activity going on. I think there certainly is a level of authenticity that's coming through at the moment. So I would guess that they are behind it, but they probably do have a team that needs to support them, just because the amount of activity that's taking place is so huge within the space at the moment.
Well, I mean, we see President Barack Obama. I mean, he's got millions of followers on his account, and one hopes, and one really does, when you're following somebody, you're hoping that it is them, and you know, you're hearing exactly from them. Just very quickly and finally, let's wrap this interview. 2014, these are the next elections. If the president formed a Twitter account a week before these elections, what is going to happen in 2014? What will the landscape, in your opinion, look like with social media?
Well, I think what is quite dramatic is having access to this. And I think what we're going to see is just so much more of that taking place. It's becoming more and more part of our lives, and I think a broader demographic in our country are actually getting access to these types of mediums. I think that it is going to become one of the ways that they have to communicate with us. Our political parties are going to need to communicate us within this manner, and it's going to be something that's not just going to happen in a build-up to elections.
All right, thank you very much for talking to us on the program. Diane Charter is the MD of a strategic digital media consultancy called Acceleration Media. She was speaking to us from our Cape Town studios. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll let you know if the president gets back to me. We'll find out if he's watching the show. I got my phone next to me. We'll find out. Anyway, let's take a break. We'll have a lot more election news right after this. Stay tuned.
With more big deals during Game's birthday.
Make sure you have your Game leaflet and a phone ready to win a 20,000 Rand gift card. Go get one.
Yeah. Get in shape with this Trojan Ignite treadmill with 6 preset programs and 3 levels for only 4,999.
Catch all the entertainment with this DSTV 1131 decoder, including installation for only 499 Rand.
Save all your data on this Toshiba 2TB hard drive for only $799.99.
Round off your DSTV viewing with this fantastic 6.2 Sony home theater system, now only $599.
Got your leaflet and a phone ready? It's time for you to win big. What is the top speed of the Trojan Ignite treadmill? SMS your answer to 33161 or enter online at game.co.za.
Hurry, SMS lines close in 1 hour.
Don't forget to join us for another round of What's the Big Deal? Tomorrow night right here at 6:10. See you tomorrow.
I can see clearly now the rain has gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. I can see clearly now the rain is gone. It's gonna be a bright,
Nescafe Recoffee. Share the fresh percolated taste.
Next on Afro Cafe, we celebrate motherhood with Judisi Puma.
How many kids do you have?
There's 5. There's 5.
Yeah, and how do you keep up, Joe?
I was about to take them.
And if ideas to impress her are few and far between this Mother's Day, let her spend the evening with us so we can make her feel special. That's Afro Cafe, Friday nights, 9:30 on SABC2.
Welcome back. You're watching our special pre-election program right here on SABC2, coming to you live from our studios in Johannesburg, Gauteng.
All right, let's continue with our discussion on new media and elections. We've asked some of our viewers what role they think Facebook and Twitter are going to play in voters' choices.
Ngicabanga ukuthi kuyicebe elihle ngoba intsha eningi iyasebenzisa abo Facebook nabo Twitter. So ngale ndlela bayakwazi ukuthi bafunde babe nolwazi.
It would target a wide audience and it would get them more involved. And because Facebook's so immediate, it's on your phones, on your cell phones, the information would be easily accessible.
Facebook is baie onmiddellik. Al die jeug, almal het Blackberries, deesdae al jou notifications kom op jou selfoon op. So almal sien dit.
Using media and Facebook and Twitter and all other forms of communication is very fast and effective.
It's easy to get notifications on like election things.
So for the political campaign, yeah, it's only do right, but why you born what they were the easier the challenge more the phone.
Using that form of information, they need to give us more than what they're giving us. All they're giving us at the moment is just adverts, and not actually telling us what the party itself stands for.
Now, political parties will have to jazz up their campaigns and keep them hip to reach the young target audience. The IEC has adopted a youthful advertising campaign in an attempt to reach young people. In the Eastern Cape alone, almost 800,000 young people in the ages between 18 and 29 are registered as voters. A large proportion of these are new registrations, and over 2 million recruited during the IEC's 2 registration weekends was young people under the age of 30.
It was the last day for voter registration. Sinayo Sambu, age 22, made her way to her nearest voting station in New Brighton in Port Elizabeth. She's a first-time voter with a long list of demands for government, proper housing, water and sanitation. And although she's currently studying, employment is at the top of her list.
I think it's very important to vote because you have to have your own say, because your ex could make a difference. And I know that things aren't the way that we want them to be right now, so this is my opportunity to change that.
According to the voters' roll, anyone between the ages of 18 and 29 is considered a youth. Ms. Sambu says she's ready for change.
Obviously, like to see more jobs for the youth, because right now I'm still in varsity and I'm about to finish, but I'm already worried about, will I get a job when I graduate? And there's just so many things, like teenage pregnancy is an issue.
Not all of the roughly 800,000 young people registered in the Eastern Cape are first-time voters. Social sites such as Facebook and Twitter have been flooded with discussions about the election. These social networks are vibrant platforms where young people share their opinions. Political parties are also making increasing use of these resources. Statistics show that in most established democracies, the older you are, the more likely you are to vote.
Youth are very, very aware of what is going on. The youth knows very well of what the various issues are. They live it on a day-to-day basis. The question, however, is what is the perception that political parties create? We see a lot of infighting between various factions within political parties, and it can create the perception that the struggle for power is more important than the issue.
The Eastern Cape is one of the poorest provinces in the country. Just over 131,000 young people between the ages of 16 and 29 turned up to register. Analysts believe voting is the only hope for a better life in poverty-stricken areas. Over 20,000 voting stations were set up countrywide where voters could register. More women than men responded to the youth target drive in the Eastern Cape. However, just how many young people will actually make it to the polls will only be known after the elections.
Coming up after the break, a smaller party in the Western Cape which likes to consider itself a kingmaker in local politics pitches its case to viewers. Stay tuned.
Knorr spaghetti bolognese. Let's have a race. Which is quicker, the pasta or the bolognese? Pasta. Ready, steady, go. The race has begun.
Pasta's in.
I'm browning the onions and mince. Knorr puts mum in the lead. It's done. Bolognese wins.
This bolognese is a winner. Carol, amazing.
Next time, we're doing the sauce.
Spaghetti bolognese tonight?
This is my park. I've been coming here for more than 50 years. My wife loved this place. We shared our very first kiss on this bench. I'd just come back from a war. It was a happy time. She's gone now. But I still love this place. It reminds me of her.
Love your South Africa. Vote 18 May, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Tonight on Seven de Laan.
Kon je de uitsoort?
Ja, ze is weg.
Hoe bedoel je?
Die bloemenwinkel is gesluit en sy is nie meer by die Lucy's huis nie.
Seven de Laan. Tonight, 6:30.
Dumelang, ke nna Ntokozo Mbuli. Ana no tseba hore ha o fokotsa motjhiso wa gizara ya hao hanyane, o ka fokotsa motlakase o sebedisang haholo. Shebela 50-50 manta o mong le o mong ha metsotso le 30 ka morao ya bosupa mo SABC2.
And welcome back. Now, the National People's Party is one of the smaller parties, but it's contesting the local elections nationally.
Its leader is Buddy Shaban, and let's hear in 60 seconds what his party stands for.
Our main focus at the NPP is to provide jobs for the poor communities, for the unemployed. In the Western Cape, unemployment runs at over 30%. The NPP's focus will be on creating jobs, giving people jobs, giving them respect, giving them an opportunity to put food on their table, and making sure that if you give jobs, the job holder will be less likely to commit crime or do substance abuse. We at the NPP are not scared to ruffle the feathers of politicians and other political parties. We stand firm on service delivery. Although we're a small party which started in 2007, we currently co-govern 11 municipalities in the Western Cape. Our constituents are the poor people, and it's ironic that most of my constituents do not own a TV so they can be watching this show. But nevertheless, we are for the poor people. We, unlike the big parties, we do not issue false promises, we deliver.
That's the show.
That's it. Brings us to the end of tonight's show, which is, of course, available on sabc.co.za/elections.
Now, tomorrow evening, we'll take another look at some of the antiques politicians get up to attract voters. It's not to be missed. That's it from me. Any news from the press?
No, didn't get back to me. And neither did Helen Zilla, actually.
No, none of them. And I did send Ms. Zilla one.
They're obviously busy electioneering. They're not watching. That's just not right.
I'm sure we'll get it tomorrow.
Great show. I'm glad you watched it, and we've had some wonderful feedback on Twitter as well. Thank you very much for getting a hold of us. You take care. Have a great evening, everyone. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.